Thank you very much. This is Toastmaster Wanjiro Kaburu. In pursuit of my distinguished Toastmaster project, which is demystifying Toastmasters, I have had a series of interviews in this process of trying to understand what are the requirements of becoming or getting to the level where you can get the award of the Distinguished Toastmaster, commonly known as DTM. We've looked at leadership requirements, education requirements, the electives, which are more of organizational support. And today I am joined by the amazing Angela Rarieya, DTM, and Oltesh Thobias, DTM, to help us demystify that additional parts, the last leap of the DTM project. So welcome Rarieya and Oltesh to this interview, and it's my honor to have you today. All right, we'll jump right into it. I have mentioned the various requirements for one to become a DTM as guided by Toastmasters International. And today we would like to dive into the DTM project, that last leap. In your own understanding, out of experience of going through this project yourself and the period you've been DTMs and also mentoring people in the journey, what really would you say is the importance? Why do you think Toastmasters International put these as a requirement, that last step to becoming a distinguished Toastmaster? I will start with you, Rarieya.
Thank you, Esther. That question is very pertinent and really is the point of definition or departure between the legacy program and pathways. I did my DTM under the legacy program, where then I did a high performance leadership project, which still would fulfill this remit. In the pathways DTM requirement, you have to undertake a project that benefits an organization. Why would Toastmasters add this level of requirement to the ultimate coveted Education Summit, or APEX, otherwise known as the DTM? Primarily, remember that Toastmasters is the world's leading communication and leadership organization. It has been here since 1924. Pathways is relevant to the world's needs today. Today needs problem solvers. The world does not need who have certificates that are framed beautifully on walls or on their cabinets in their offices. The world needs critical thinkers, people who have very sharp analytical skills. And so what this project presents really is an opportunity for any individual to consolidate their leadership and speaking experience that they have gathered. Because by the time you are done with your about you, going out into a professional sphere and saying that having consolidated all the skills and knowledge to help to solve a problem. So looking at it from the organization to the workplace, change careers, get your foot up, get a promotion by solving a problem your organization anticipated or made this a requirement. Relevance, practicality, application from Toastmasters, the professional spheres that we occupy.
Thank you very much, Rarieya, for those brilliant thoughts there. And indeed, it's not about releasing distinguished Toastmasters into the world. It's about making leaders, as is the call of Toastmasters, that can actually add value to the organizations they work in and those that they can even form out of this experience. Thobias, what has your experience been? What would you say is the key importance of such a requirement by Toastmasters International out of your experience and maybe the experience of others?
Thank you. Quite an important question. And let me say that my journey as a DTM took about 5 years. And it took me 3 years to deliver 10 speeches. And then I was able to do the rest of the project that led to DTM in 1 year. But there was one thing that I did. I sat with my mentor, and it was January 2018, and I told her that I need to get my DTM by December. We made a, and I was able to, it did not take me 1 year, it took me 18 months. The leadership project needed 6 months. So planning is not only about getting the DTM, it's also about really getting, to execute your Toastmasters projects in the leadership and the speaking journey. Now, as far as leadership is concerned, and as far as the organization is concerned, I think this is about you getting the knowledge, using the knowledge, and getting the results. Well said. Leadership is about, now the fact that Toastmasters to introduce this very critical and setup is to actually make sure that as a distinguished Toastmasters, you have the skills, you have knowledge of being able to influence people to get the results, to execute a project and get a product, get a service, get an outcome at the end of that particular project. And I think this is very critical, because where do we use these skills if we don't use it to benefit the organization or the community that we work for? I remember as my high performance project, there was a TEDx community that I was coaching, and it was done over a span of six months actually. And I used my DTM project to be able to execute that particular initiative. That was really, really good. And it also allowed me now to assess my skill, where I was before, where I was after, and it allowed me to see how much I had grown. But the beautiful thing is, I did not do it alone. I involved my employer. They gave me space, they gave me all the necessary resources that were required, and therefore it also helped me to show and showcase some of these skills to my employer in the community impact that I was creating at that time.
Thank you, Oltesh. All right. Rarieya, as you rightfully said, the key requirement for a DTM project in the Pathways journey is a project that benefits an organization. Now, what would you advise members? Where do they look? How do they get to a point where they say, now, this looks like a project that can benefit an organization? What approach would you advise members of Toastmasters, maybe beginners, those who are on their journey, they're almost there and they're wondering now, what kind of a project can I go for to qualify as a distinguished Toastmaster?
Right, Esther, where does one begin? I'm always convicted that charity is home. Whether home in this instance is the organization that pays your salary or the business that you run, start there. Because if you want to have influence, you want to bring value into an ecosystem. So you want to look at a situation, not to finish off in the shortest time possible, not necessarily. That is less important. It should even be a major consideration as what change, positive change can bring. So I would encourage members, start with where you're at. If you're employed in an organization, there's always room for innovation in an organization. There's some process somewhere, there's a customer interface somewhere. There is something that the organization can do better or differently. Start with that. Look at that as an opportunity for you to make a difference in your organization. And who knows, this could very easily get you the visibility that you have not yet got by virtue of where you're sitting in the hierarchy of the organization. And this is not necessarily a motivation, but it is your opportunity to make a difference. Alternatively, if there is an organization that intrigues you, an organization you work for, or for whatever reason, maybe you are motivated by their impact in society, that's another place to look at. So you could go into that space and look at what's happening in that space that I feel by running this project, I could then offer my findings to that organization. Remember that because you are working, whether you are self-employed or running your own business or whether you are employed, because our days are caught up in the business of eking a living, this project in the way that makes the most sense for you. So the further you go away from home, then you really want to establish that if it's an organization that you don't work for, then you have access. You have easy access to some decision makers and to the information that you need for your DTM project. But my advice always is charity begins at home. Where you are sitting, fellow Toastmasters, there's an opportunity to make a difference in that organization. And I would say start right there.
Wow, yeah, so many of us look so far to provide a solution. And what I'm getting from you loud and clear is start right where you are. The organization you work for or with, or an organization you have close access to. But something else I've gotten from you loud and clear is that a DTM project to us is an opportunity to provide a solution to an existing problem. And that's why you talked about a test by Toastmasters to learn and grow in analytical skills, problem solving skills, and even the presentation of these solutions that you are talking about as a distinguished Toastmaster. Now, Thobias, I have known you for some time, even before meeting you in Toastmasters. And I've known you to be a development kind of a person. You might call it coaching, mentorship, but I've known you to be someone who puts things and people together for a great outcome. Now, put that in this DTM approach. Put that experience and advise members who are wondering, what do I look out for in order to really deliver on a DTM project?
Wanjiru, you have taken me far back in the days of Dedan Kimathi when I was coaching the students. Now, that's quite an interesting question. And let me say this, for anyone who would like to undertake this project as part of a requirement to finish their DTM, it makes a lot of sense if you actually look within and around you. It could be the community around you. It could be your team. It could be your organization. It could be a religious organization that you belong to, or any other society that you are part and parcel of. And the reason is, this is your area of influence. This is an area where you could easily call your boss and tell them that I have this project. This is an area where you could easily call your mentor or would like to be part of that. So look around, look within and around you, that is one. But number two, identify the problems or the challenges that that particular organization or community is going through. But as I said initially, leadership is about influence. And I'm not talking about you working alone. It's about bringing people together and see how can we work in this particular initiative to address the problem that we are working on. So you look around, you identify a problem, and you bring in the competencies within that society using the skills that we got in Toastmasters to now make the difference that you want to make at that particular situation. The beauty of this project is you will get all the necessary skills that you need. And I really like that. But it's also important at this stage, while you're planning your project and involving everyone, it is important that we also use the mentors that Toastmaster has assigned us to assist us in executing these projects. And this is really where the value of coaching and leadership and mentoring and guiding comes in. At the end of the project, you will now be able to see the results. And let me say that I have seen a lot of differences happening to me within the organization. I have been promoted severally through the skills that I got in Toastmasters. I have impacted my organization severally through this. Where a stranger have seen me for the first time, but they could tell that there was something different on the way I communicated. But when they now sit with me, they realize that I'm a Toastmaster. Then they say, ah, that is why. Now, I would like anyone who undertakes a DTM project for their society or for their organization, for any beneficiary within that project to say, I think I saw something in you. And I did not know what it was until when you have now shared with me that you're a Toastmaster. Now I'm putting 2 and 2 together. So let us not only use these projects to achieve or attain that DTM. Let us use these projects to make a difference at a time that makes a difference for people that make a difference, for things that would make a difference for our community. Back to you, Anjiro.
I see something in you, and I don't know what it is. That famous speech that we, the 3 of us in this room, and most of the Toastmasters watching this have an idea, or have even mastered the all of you. A beautiful speech indeed. You're saying, let anyone who sees you in action as a distinguished Toastmaster really get to understand what it should look like, feel like to be a distinguished Toastmaster. You've said 3 very important things, Oltesh. You've said that this project helps you identify something around you that you can work on, and then analyze this problem and what the solution can be, but also bring competencies together, people who can help you really actualize this. Because as I grow up, and as in your experience at your level, you will all know you cannot do something very important just by yourself. We all need people to work in teams. And that is why even Toastmasters encourages mentoring that you've brought out, peer evaluation and feedback in everything that we do in our meetings and outside. So that is very key. And you've emphasized on focusing on making a difference. Now I'll pick it from there, but I'll go to Rarieya and ask, making a difference. Let me look at it this way. Most people join Toastmasters. Some have a why, others are just excited. They go to a meeting like, this looks like somewhere good to be, and they join. But once you're in Toastmasters, you realize there is a lot more you can learn. The growth that is in there is just limitless. And that's why some of us sign up to be, is there something like lifetime Toastmaster? Or can people get that membership? That's why some just stay, because there's just a lot. Even by observing, by listening into someone like you, Oltesh, give a speech, there's just something to learn and to grow. So when you talk of experience or difference, and someone is seated somewhere wondering, I complete a whole 2 paths. I go ahead and serve as a district officer for a whole year, a club officer. I need to mentor, coach, sponsor clubs, and then someone really feels I need also to, have the stress of going through a DTM project. What would you tell someone like that? What are some of the tips that you would share? What would you say to make them feel it is worth the while? Rarieya.
I would say go back to YouTube and watch that video by Dhananjaya Hetarachi, 2014 International Speech Contest winner. Remember, he recaps that he's joining Toastmasters. He didn't even know what he was signing up for. But somebody, his father's friend, who refused to give up on him, threw that lifeline to him. And what did we then see at the end of that journey? A world winner, but now also an accredited speaker who is changing lives, touching lives all over the place. I would say this: expand your view. It is true that for a number of Toastmasters, they came in to learn how to deal with the jitters when presenting at work, when presenting in official capacities. And that was for many people the reason why they came to Toastmasters. Other people came to network with like-minded professionals. Other people were just looking for something to do, every now and again, and now they're hooked. So whatever your motivation for joining Toastmasters, I would really say expand your view. Remember that learning how to speak competently, it's not just for oratory. It's because you are putting in all that effort so that people can listen to you, so that you can inspire, persuade, influence people towards certain outcomes. In other words, the communication is such a critical component of successful leadership. Whether you will ever ascend to a defined leadership role in an organization, or whether you choose to play that role in your home, I would simply say expand your view. And this is why, if you look at the Toastmasters experience, there's such emphasis, equal emphasis, on building your competency as a speaker, as well as a leader. So you don't want to have put in all that work through two paths: speech after speech, feedback, maybe retaking some paths, maybe retaking some projects, I beg your pardon. You are not doing all this just so you can stand in front of a mirror and deliver a 5 to 7 minute speech, or a 14-minute speech, or a 20-minute speech beautifully. No, it is because your mastery of the word is going to serve and impact a much bigger audience than yourself, and maybe even than your home and than your team. So I would say this, that expand your view. Don't look at it as a chore. Look at it as the culmination of the step-by-step journey that you have been making. It is not a job. Remember that if you're going to be a leader, you must be able to work through teams. And that's what organizations are looking for. So as a leader, if you're going to work through teams, that's why you have been working on your communication skills. That's why you have been taking up leadership roles in your club, to either become members towards that club's success, and even in your specific docket, working with a committee, because no one person is really self-sufficient. We need each other for collective success. So this is why Toastmasters gives you that opportunity. So the DTM project is not a chore. Remember, it's really an opportunity for you in a very safe space. Sit and say, I can lead a project that is not thrown at me, or that I am not required to do because of my JD, but that I have used my analytical skills. I have used my listening skills. I have used my team collaboration skills, all these things that we are constantly getting an opportunity to refine in Toastmasters. And I am now emerging as a leader in my own right by being able to identify something that can make this organization, or this business, or this community, or this church group achieve its goals faster or easier. So the DTM is not a chore. It is really the culmination. It's your celebration of everything you've ever done in Toastmasters coming together to make a difference in the world.
All right, expand your view. No, when you were talking about it, you also alluded to the common analogy of the trees do not bear fruits for themselves. It is the people who end up, eating and enjoying and getting healthy from these fruits. So you've emphasized on expanding our view, but also then taking such a project as an opportunity to go out there and then now use these skills that you've learned through that, what you might look as a tedious process of leading in clubs, district, mentoring, and having gone through two paths, then to culminate into something valuable that you can be proud of and that adds value to people. That was beautiful. Tobias, after listening into all that by this amazing Rarieya, I could see you nodding. And I feel like you're just about to share a lot of wisdom given your journey. Tell us, what should really Toastmasters look at beyond it being a distinguished Toastmaster level requirement?
I was talking to the DTM Connie Shemeria the other day. And she said when she attained her DTM, she said, I need to take a break for 6 months. Only to find herself starting the first club ever up country in Uganda. I also asked Rosie Rana, you were the first DTM in East Africa, and I expected you to pack and go because you had achieved it all. And it did not end there. I asked several DTMs, what next? What I came to learn is being a Toastmaster is a lifestyle. And when you get to a certain level, you cannot downgrade yourself. When you become a Toastmaster, you will always be a Toastmaster. It doesn't change because what you become will never go back. When you become a competent speaker, a competent leader, it doesn't go back. That becomes your minimum standard. And therefore, I would like to encourage anyone who is struggling, who is thinking twice, who is not 100% sure that is this really for me? Let me say this. You need to wake up, dress up, and show up. Day in, day out. Do your projects, execute your leadership and communication projects because you don't really know. Let me just add by saying, when an opportunity shows up, it is too late for you to prepare. Can I repeat that one, Jiro? When an opportunity shows up, it is too late for you to prepare. What does that mean? As a distinguished Toastmasters, or as a Toastmaster in general, you need to be preparing because for sure, that opportunity is going to show up. You don't want a position for leadership to show up and you don't have the skills to execute your interviews in a convincing manner. You don't want to see a job opportunity and you have all the qualifications and you're called for an interview and you should change yourself because you were not able to persuade the panel to pick you because you had all the skills that are needed. So I'd like to just remind anyone who's watching this video today, and let me just talk to you directly, that being a DTM is a lifestyle. It becomes part of you. And let me say that when you speak in front of people, people will actually notice you. People can feel you, people can connect with you. But there's something else. And I like what Angela said initially, that it is not about checking the boxes. It is about being a DTM. It's about becoming a DTM. And what does that mean? If you get to a level of skill where you are so competent that you don't even realize how good you are, that's exactly what you're looking at. It's like when you drive a car, you're changing the gears, you're picking the phone, you're turning the indicators, you don't mind. But do you remember your first driving lesson? How difficult it was? I can see Wanjiru smiling. I bet it was not easy. So let us get to a level of leadership and communication just to the same level as we drive unawares. That's where I want you to be. And for you to get there, you need to plan. For you to get there, you really need to work hard so that you can put a valve that will prevent you from going back to where you delivered your first speech. Back to you, Wanjiru.
Wow, being a Toastmaster is indeed a lifestyle. Then being a DTM is a lifestyle and more. It's another level of lifestyle. And I can feel it and see it in your enthusiasm as you advise those who are behind you in this journey. But you also reminded me when you said taking back to the days of Dedan Kimathi University, something you've always emphasized on. Wake up, dress up, and show up. I remember that was my first encounter with you, Oltesh, Tobias, when I was just clearing my university back then. And indeed, you've also said when you show up, after the experience of being a Toastmaster, you learn that opportunities are there. And when they show up, you need to be ready. So why not take advantage of membership in Toastmasters to get ready to ace those opportunities once they appear? That was powerful. Now, I know the two of you have somehow given your parting shots through all the knowledge and wisdom that you have shared, but to give meat to your final response, I will ask you to share the key. I know there are very many, but share the key lessons or growth that has come as a result of active participation through your Toastmasters membership, and then throw in a parting shot to the listeners. The key growth that has come through Toastmasters, and then a parting shot to the listeners. Rarieya.
Almost 15 years later, there are so many lessons that I have learned from my Toastmasters journey. A lot of people have asked me, why do you come back? You know, you have attained the highest level of education. And I tell them, learning is a lifelong process. So if there is one endeavor that constantly reminds me of that, it is Toastmasters. Learning is a lifelong endeavor. Up to this point, I will attend meetings in clubs and be absolutely wowed by some icebreakers. My first icebreaker was given in 2007 or 8. And I step back and I say, you know what? I could incorporate this approach. I could incorporate this way of telling stories. So learning is a lifelong experience. The second lesson that really stands out for me is this. In life, and especially where we are either running our own businesses or are employed, you don't have too many chances to make mistakes without dire consequences. So for instance, if you're hired as a manager because on your CV or your resume, you indicated your competencies, the interviewing body has seen that you're a good match for a job, they have offered you the position. You then carry with that acceptance risk that you will settle into this organization well, deliverables, some of which are barely in your control. There's so many other factors outside of your control that might sometimes hinder your capability or your path to success. Toastmasters is a safe place. Why not hone that skill of leadership, project management, team collaboration? Why not hone those skills in a fraternity that celebrates people, hardly ever castigates? A fraternity that will give you candid feedback for your growth without punishing you with a letter in your file or with the threat of a job loss. So that's another highlight, that we have such a safe space to practice the very things we say we want and the very highlights we say we want to achieve in our careers. It's all here right under your nose. Thirdly, if there's one thing Toastmasters has taught me, is to value my personal brand. To show up, as Oltesh says, dress up, show up, speak up, and to do this with my own flair, but understanding that you never get a second chance to make a first impression. And this is why I prepare. Toastmasters has, over the years, also helped me to learn how to speak and think on my feet. I get work, including last Friday. I got a call from somebody I have never met. And I'm now she's going to risk, I put the risk in quotes, and she will risk giving me her clients to train because she has heard of Toastmasters. And her biggest attraction when she looked at my profile is that I'm a distinguished Toastmaster. And I'm just saying that we have so many things coming out of this journey. So let's take our Toastmasters journey beyond the hobby, beyond that thing that we tune into, beyond the opportunity to catch up with my friend Oltesh, whom I haven't seen, physically in a long time. Let's also look at it in terms of how is what I'm doing on a fortnightly basis, what I'm doing in my leadership capacity, even in my capacity as an active member. How can I take these things and put them out there in the world? Because remember, legacy building is never about how much money or how famous you are. Legacy building is about understanding that in a planet inhabited by nearly 8 billion people, your personal brand is your unique footprint in this space. So my parting shot would be this, and it's a quote I love by a UK premier of the 19th century, Benjamin Disraeli. And he said this: the secret of success is to be ready when your opportunity comes. You don't know when that opportunity will be presented. You don't know when that door that you have been dreaming about, praying for, will fling open. In the meantime, give your all to your journey as a Toastmaster.
I am sweating. This is my, improvised fun. Because all that wisdom, my ears are just burning out because that is a lot of wisdom to take in. And given that it's coming from a point of experience, it makes it even more valuable. And you've clearly put out very key things that we should really, take advantage of our Toastmasters membership. You've talked about lifelong adventure to learn, a safe space. I mean, to make mistakes, and all you get is, a pampered feedback because your peer just wants you to grow and become better. And then you've talked about one key thing of personal brand, learning how to represent Rarieya as a brand. That was amazing. Thank you very much, Rarieya. And I'm so glad to be taking these, as a first person before the viewers of this video. They should be jealous. All right, Tobias, what are your key lessons? What have you learned? What is the growth? And what is your parting shot?
I'd like to start by saying I have 4 brothers, 2 older than me and 2 younger than me. And the older ones and the younger ones, all of them got married at an average age of 27 years. I got married when I was 35 years. Do you know why? Not because girls did not like me. I was just as handsome as I am today. But what happened is I was not able to communicate my feelings. I was scared. I could not speak even to the audience of one. Now, if I start giving you a list of how many opportunities I lost and I missed because I could not communicate, I could not persuade, I could not stand in front of people and share my ideas, I will not finish. The sun will go down before I finish how much I suffered. Those days when I got an opportunity to speak, I would run away. But today, when I don't only look for opportunities to speak. When an opportunity shows up, I grab it and take advantage because it helps me to influence others. Now, if you're listening to me, let me say this. Your big day is coming. You don't want to delay, let me say, your marriage the way it happened to me. You don't want to miss those opportunities that I missed because you are not prepared. Your big day is coming. And the best thing that you can do is to get ready for that big day. You don't want that opportunity to come and catch you unawares. You want that opportunity to come, you embrace it, and you take it to the next level. So as I finish, let me say this. You have a purpose of being here. There's a reason why you're here. You being here and you even listening to this video is not an accident. It has been designed to happen exactly at this time. But beyond that, for you to be able to fulfill your purpose, you need the tools. For you to make a difference and leave that legacy, you need a tool. And I can tell you there's no better tool than the effective communication, effective leadership skills that will help you not only to go to the next level, but take your tribe to the next level. And I look forward to seeing you at the very top, because that's where you belong.
Indeed, there is no need of delaying progress in whatever aspect of your life, including, putting a ring on it, because you could not hit on the girl, and also other aspects of your life, careers, and also even friendships. Some of us are not able to maintain friendships because we don't know what to say, how to say it. Before we finish talking, we've messed everything up because we didn't know the right things to say and how to say them, or we just shut up and silence was equals to rudeness and we were written off before we even became part of these people's life. So there's no need of delaying success in any aspect of our lives while we have Toastmasters to build the tools, get the tools that Oltesh has talked about, tools that will enable us become great leaders, communicators, and then use those skills in all aspects of our lives. I knew I got the right people for this interview. I had no doubt in that, because if I'm feeling the way I'm feeling and I've interacted with you people for a while, I'm imagining how the people who are feeding from this wisdom for the first time through this video will feel like. My only hope is that anyone who gets to listening, as Oltesh has said, it was designed for a time like this. May you take these words, the experience, the knowledge, the wisdom, and apply it in your life. Because if we don't, then it doesn't get to help you get to your purpose. As I continue my Toastmasters journey, I will continue to learn from amazing people like you, watching closely, listening closely, and even following more closely, because it is always a pleasure to be mentored, to observe and learn and grow. But it's also more fulfilling now when I look back and grow someone else who comes after me. So thank you very much, Oltesh. Thank you very much, Rarieya. I wish you all the best in your endeavors, in your things you do, in your families, places of work, business, friendships, in Toastmasters and beyond. And now that it is COVID times, I urge you to do all you can to stay safe and keep those close to you safe. And I vow to do the same. Thank you very much, and may you have a great time and stay safe. I cannot emphasize that enough. Thank you.
Thank you, Wanjiru.